A few weeks ago, I almost signed a lease on a gym. Not a joke. Not a wouldn't it be cool daydream. I sat in a parking lot with a lease agreement on my phone, my thumb literally hovering over the signature box, thinking about how good it would feel to walk into my own place every morning. My own treadmills, my own front desk, my name on the wall. And then I did something that probably saved me a couple $100,000. I closed my laptop, went home, and actually ran the numbers instead of running on adrenaline. Because here's the thing nobody tells you when you're standing in a gym on a Tuesday at 6 p.m., watching every treadmill get used, every class packed, a line at the front desk. You look at that and your brain does the dumbest math in the world. More people equals more money equals easy business. I fell for it too. Hard. So let me walk you through exactly what I found out, in the order I found it out, because some of it made me feel like an idiot and some of it made me feel like I just discovered a cheat code nobody talks about. The first thing that hit me was the deposit. I called a commercial landlord about a space that used to be a furniture store. Decent size, decent location. Before I could even talk about renovations, he wanted 3 to 6 months of rent up front, just to hold the space, not to build anything, just to say it's mine while it sits empty. Okay, fine, I thought. I'll eat that. Then I actually priced out turning an empty box into a place people can sweat in legally, and that's when it started to sting. Rubber flooring that can take a drop barbell without cracking the concrete underneath. $10 to $40,000. Locker rooms with proper drainage and moisture resistant everything, because regular bathroom materials rot under that kind of humidity. Another 10 to 50,000. Mirrors, floor to ceiling. The ones that make the room look twice as big. 3 to 12 grand once they're actually installed. And then there was the one that genuinely blindsided me. Air. I didn't think about air. Why would I? But it turns out a normal retail space isn't built to handle a room full of humans generating heat and sweat for hours straight. There's an actual formula code enforcement uses. Roughly 20 cubic feet of fresh air per minute per person exercising, plus extra for the square footage. I ran that math for a floor with 100 people on it at peak hours and landed on over 2000 cubic feet of air that needs to move through that room every single minute. That's not a ceiling fan. That's a full industrial HVAC system, and it can run you $10 to $50,000 before a single membership gets sold. Add the deposit, the flooring, the locker rooms, the HVAC, the insurance, the licenses, the opening marketing, plus enough cash sitting in reserve to survive the slow first few months, and I was looking at $300,000 minimum, possibly over a million, before I had earned one single dollar, and I hadn't even bought a treadmill yet. That was decision point one, standing there realizing the equipment isn't even the expensive part, it's turning an empty shell into something the fire marshal will sign off on. Then I got into equipment, and that's where I hit the buy versus lease trap that I think ruins a lot of first time owners. A commercial treadmill, the kind that survives someone running on it 8 hours a day, is $2 to $8,000. You need 6 to 12 of them, minimum just for a baseline cardio area. Strength machines run 1 to 5 grand each, and you need 12 to 20 of them for a real floor. By the time I added racks, benches, dumbbells, I was staring at $40 to $250,000 just in equipment. So naturally I thought, lease it. Lower monthly payments, keep my cash free, upgrade the equipment every few years so the place never looks dated. Sounds smart, right? Here's what stopped me. Lease financing on gym equipment runs around 8% interest a year, which means over the life of that lease, I'd be paying way more than the machines are actually worth. And the lease doesn't care if my gym is thriving or dying. If I have to close the doors, those payments don't stop. They follow me out like a debt collector with my name in their phone. Buying outright avoids that trap, but it drains the exact cash I need most in those first shaky months before members show up in real numbers. Neither option is wrong, but either way, I was about to lock in a massive fixed cost that has to get paid every single month, no matter how many people actually walk through the door that day. That's the part that kept me up. Then came location, and this is where I thought I was smart and actually wasn't. I figured a busy street, high visibility, tons of foot traffic. That's the winning formula. Except roughly 80% of a gym's actual membership comes from within a 10 to 15 minute drive of the building. That's it. Not the city, not the metro area. A 10-minute radius around the front door is basically your entire market. And inside that radius, the income level of the people living there has to match what you're charging. I was eyeing a spot that would have forced me into premium pricing in a neighborhood that's solidly working class. That mismatch alone kills gyms before they open, no matter how nice the mirrors are. And that high visibility spot I liked was renting for over $100 a square foot a year, compared to under $20 a square foot just a few miles out. I would have paid triple the rent to be seen by people who couldn't afford my membership anyway. Okay, so at this point, I'm several weeks in. I've done the math on the building, the equipment, the location, and I'm starting to feel like maybe I dodged something. But then I found the part of this business that actually changed how I think about money completely. I want you to picture two people signing up for my imaginary gym on the same day. Person 1 shows up 3 times a week, every week, for a year straight, uses the shower, sweats through a towel, puts real wear on the treadmill belt, takes up floor space during the exact hour it's most crowded. Person 2 signs up in January, comes twice, feels great about themselves, and never comes back. Keeps paying every single month anyway. Which one is more valuable to me as the owner? It's person 2, every time. And once I understood why, I understood the entire business model. Person 2 costs me almost nothing. No hot water, no towel, no wear on the machines, no crowding out other members. Their monthly payment shows up like clockwork, and almost every dollar of it drops straight to my bottom line. And it turns out this isn't some rare edge case. Roughly 2 out of every 3 gym members rarely or never actually use the gym they're paying for. Read that again, because it rewired how I see this whole industry. Most of the revenue at a typical gym is coming from people who aren't exercising there, and it's not an accident, it's the actual design. A gym with 6,000 members could never physically fit even a fifth of them on the floor at once. Fire code wouldn't allow it. The floor might legally cap out around 2 to 300 people at a time. So the gym isn't really selling access to a room. It's selling a bet that most people who pay will never show up at the same time, and a huge chunk won't show up at all. The forgotten membership sitting untouched on someone's bank statement is quietly one of the most profitable customers I could ever have. That's when the cynical side of this business started showing itself. And I have to be honest, it made me a little uncomfortable. About 12% of all yearly gym signups happen in January alone. Resolution season, discounted joining fees, cheap trial offers, a wave of new cash and new monthly billing all at once. But that wave leaves just as fast as it arrives. Around half of new members stop showing up within 6 months. Of the people who join specifically as a New Year's resolution, up to 80% have quietly vanished by summer. February is the danger month, right when that initial motivation runs out before it becomes an actual habit. Smart owners don't panic about this. They use the January cash surge to build a reserve that carries them through the quieter summer. The owners who get wrecked are the ones who spend that windfall like it's permanent income instead of a seasonal spike. And then there's cancellation, which is where I started to feel like I understood exactly why gyms are designed the way they are. Canceling a membership is almost never as easy as signing up for one. A lot of contracts require you to cancel in writing, in person, or by certified mail with a return receipt. Not a phone call, not an app tap. Contracts often demand 30 to 60 days notice before the next billing cycle, which guarantees at least one more month of payment even after you've already decided you're done. And here's a wild stat. Roughly 30 to 40% of all cancellations happen simply because a credit card expired or a payment failed, not because someone walked in and formally quit. Which is exactly why gyms run entire departments dedicated to chasing down failed payments before a member can drift away for good. If a gym's survival actually depended on happy, engaged, frequently attending members, it wouldn't need to make leaving this hard. The fact that cancellation friction is baked into the business tells you everything about where the real money comes from. Now here's the part that genuinely surprised me. The thing that made me almost respect this business again after feeling kind of gross about the cancellation stuff. The real ceiling breaker in this industry isn't memberships at all. It's personal training. A trainer working strictly one-on-one, charging around $80 a session, capped around 25 sessions a week so they don't burn out. Working 50 weeks a year, tops out around $100,000 in revenue. Hard ceiling. There are only so many hours in a day, but a coach running a semi-private session with 4 people at once, each paying $40, brings in $160 for that same single hour, roughly double the money, while each client individually pays less than they would one-on-one. That's the loophole. That's how gyms break the one trainer, 1 hour, one client ceiling. The gym typically keeps half, since trainers take a 30 to 50% commission, but even after that split, personal training generates more profit per hour than a basic membership ever could. One dedicated training client can be worth dozens of members who never show up. So here's where I landed, sitting with all of this laid out in front of me. If I hit my numbers right, keep churn low, pick the right neighborhood, build a real personal training program alongside the membership base, a mid-size independent gym can pull in somewhere between 500,000 and $1.5 million a year, with a profit margin around 10 to 20%. That could put $70,000 to $180,000 a year in my pocket. Genuinely solid. But the realistic scenario isn't some rare disaster. It's 2 or 3 completely normal things going wrong at once. Churn runs high instead of low. A budget chain opens 2 miles away and undercuts my pricing. Equipment breaks down more than expected and eats another $1,000 to $3,000 a month. None of that is dramatic. No fire, no scandal. Just a slightly higher cancellation rate. a slightly slower ramp to break even, a slightly heavier repair bill, quietly compounding month after month until the number at the bottom of my spreadsheet looks nothing like the plan I fell in love with in that parking lot. And that's the version of this story nobody tells you. When you're standing in a crowded gym at 6 p.m., thinking this looks like easy money. It never was about how many people I could get to sign up. It was about whether I could survive on the people who stopped showing up. I didn't sign that lease. Not yet, anyway. But now, if I do, I'll do it with my eyes open instead of my ego.